If you're fear of failing, you're gonna fail. So you rather fail fast than not do it at all.
At all.
If you can look up, you can get up. And if it doesn't work, just go back to work.
Great.
Having good people around you is super, super important. You're only as good as what you know. And sometimes if you don't know, you just have to take the risk. And that's what an entrepreneur does.
Learning on the go.
Learning on the go. You know, I was like, I want to just do it cheap, but then maximize on the revenue. And guys, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need to spend money in order to get some return on investment. I speak to founders like that. I'm gonna take 20% of the market share in the UAE, and that equates to $400 billion. And I'm like, right, then you need to learn, my friend, but you're gonna fail faster and it's gonna hurt you even harder. But you need to get along with your employees in order for you to get the most out of them. If you love their work but you don't like them, there's gonna be a problem. We live in this world where you can have remote teams. I think COVID has taught us that.
I think that it's after that we really we started exploring that more, right?
My colleagues are bringing their friends from their companies, from that company, from that company, from that company. They're like, hey, we loved working with this person. Can they work with me? And
that's how you find the right kind of people. And now when it comes to before Wasta, right? Or before WorkPanda, I'm sure you might have reached out to a lot of people as a founder, because for us as a founder, that's the most important part, the growing your network and meeting the right people. So how did you go about that? And I'm sure even you're probably during the times of a career as well, you might have done that, right? How did you go about making those connections?
Let's go all the way back to kind of childhood. You know, I was the funny guy in class. I was the guy that got along with everyone. I was the guy who would, you know, and I'm still the guy who organizes all the parties, the dinners, the this, the that.
You're the social butterfly.
I'm the social butterfly in the group. I'm the guy who would bring people together. If you're fighting, I'll bring you together. You know, if it's a birthday, I'll bring you together. So I'm generally a very extroverted person, and I love bringing people together. So I think when you bring that into a business environment, that was something that worked to my advantage. You know, some people say, Shyam, like, you're very crazy, you got ADHD, you know, you're very excited, but I use that to my advantage by networking. And I love talking, as most people would know. I love talking and I love to listen as much as I talk, but listen to people and understand their problems. Like a psychiatrist listening in, but I look at them and I see patterns, and then I can think about, oh, Bilna, you said this. Okay, you need to connect with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Boom. And then I connect you together.
I've seen you do that on LinkedIn to me. Like sometimes 100%. When I post, you always tag some people whenever you, right?
So what I've done to that is I am a very social person. I love connecting people, which is a big part of business, especially in the Middle East. But I've amplified that by using social media. By using LinkedIn as my primary tool. Because I always say everyone has their tool. Some people love Instagram, some people love TikTok, some people love LinkedIn, some people love Twitter. But for me, that's where I spend 90% of my day is on LinkedIn to see opportunities. And the region isn't big enough in comparison to a London or a USA. Here, you could get to know the key decision makers, in my opinion, in about a year. That's a good amount of time to get to know the key players, who's doing what. And fortunately, I've been here for 10 years. And utilizing LinkedIn, utilizing my own career history, working with PIF and some of these big companies, people generally want to associate with me because of my career history and the value I bring on social media, right? Some of the articles, like we met through the APC with RICS, and you know, some of the companies I've worked for, some of the networking events, and so on and so forth. And as my career has grown and diversified with these big players, I have then latched onto their corporate brand and made myself a figurehead for those brands. So for EC Harris, you know, they put me on the newspaper, on the Metro. So every single person in Southeast England, if not I think the whole country, would have seen my face because I was associated to that. When I was at Faithful in Gold, you know, I wrote many articles for them, which is probably one of the reasons how you met me.
That's how I met you.
When I was at PIF, I wrote articles about moving as an expat to Saudi as a 20-year-old something. And I think it's probably the highest grossing article on Google today. There's something like 300,000 reads on that. And people still message me to say, I read your article and I'm living in Neom, I'm living in the Red Sea, I'm living in here, and you supported me to make that decision. So using social media, using the internet to amplify my own brand from a personal perspective has really allowed me to forge those relationships. This is how we had a discussion before the podcast. How do you get to meet these people? How do you talk to CEOs? And it was because I've built such an amazing brand that they actually come to me, or they know of me. So when I do go to a networking event, they know who I am already, which is exactly what I love. So I don't have to introduce myself. They're like, oh, you're the annoying guy on LinkedIn. Or you're the guy who wrote a fantastic article. Or you're the guy who messaged me on LinkedIn to join Wasta. Or you messaged me because you're a candidate. And so all of a sudden, I get to know everyone.
Nice.
And so when I want something to do with business, fit out contractor, client, recruiter, talent acquisition, bridge financing, venture capital, like you're one message away. Not 7 degrees of connection, you're one message away. And I love that.
That's nice. I think that's the power of personal branding on yourself on the social media, right?
I think there's 2 ways. There's people out there who's like, don't put stuff on the internet. Don't put it on. And my mom's like, don't put that on the internet. Someone will see it. I'm like, I want people to see it. Because that's what's getting me to the next stage. There's a fine line. Obviously, the internet's not policed. You have to be very careful what you say, what you write, what you like, what you don't like. People probably don't know, but if I'm recruiting and you're a candidate, I will research everything about you. I will go on your Twitter, I'll go on your TikTok, I'll see what you like, what you don't like. I'll make a couple of phone calls. I will find out about you.
Exactly.
You can't hide. I will find you.
And
there's the good side of it, which is like you can amplify what you do, your work, the stuff I've done. People like yourself have picked it up. And that can really benefit you if you use it in the right way, on the right mediums. And that's something that I've found out pretty early in my career and have used that as a platform to amplify my future opportunities.
Nice. So while you were at your career, did you have a plan to really quit and start something, or did it just happen? How was that story?
I think I've always been business minded, and going into big businesses was always a machine for me to learn. If you are aware of this term, it's called entrepreneurship, which is acting as an entrepreneur within a big business. So I always have to shout out E.C. Harris. E.C. Harris, back 10 years ago, which is now Arcadis, was one of the pinnacle moments in my career because they were so pro in giving opportunity to their employees. Honestly, I've never worked for an organization who were so giving to their staff. And being an entrepreneur or being someone excited to be part of this machine, a global organization, they worked on many amazing projects, Chelsea Barracks in the UK, FIFA, the Qatar World Cup, they worked in Ashgal in Qatar, they've worked in Saudi on Kingdom Tower, they've worked on anything and everything. And to be part of that, maybe I wasn't working on those projects, to be associated to that, and all the other opportunities that they gave me kind of really built the foundations to who I am today and what I know. The system, the structure, the support, the programs where they would send you abroad. So they sent me to China, they sent me to Hong Kong, and they are the ones who brought me to the Middle East.
That's amazing.
And so, being part of these big businesses gives you the opportunity to learn, to take on, responsibility, to mature as a professional. And then once you work for a big business, getting to the next step often becomes slightly easier. Not easy, but slightly easier because of the affiliation of the brand. And then working for Atkins or Faithful in Gold, S&C Lavalin, it's another great brand. And then obviously working for PIF. PIF called me in 2018 and they were like, hey, do you want to come work in Saudi? It was actually through my old manager.
That's when you moved to Saudi.
Yeah, and this is through my old manager. And I think it's an interesting story because I turned down PIF 3 times before I said yes. Because I think anyone working in construction back in 2018, living the Dubai life, a young chap, loves going out, loves partying, the lifestyle in Dubai is amazing. For you to go Saudi, you hear stories. I've never been. And I was like, no, it's not for me. I'm staying in Dubai. I'm staying in Dubai. They call me again saying...
back in 2018, right now we see there's a huge boom there. Huge boom. But in 2018, it wasn't the case,
I didn't even know what PIF meant. I was Googling it and I was like, what is this? What is this thing? And, Fortunately enough, my manager at the time, super amazing. I said, listen, I'm going to resign. Yes. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I need to tell you, just wait. I need to tell you. He's like, don't, you work for a great company. Don't move. Yes. Or tell me who you're going to move to and we'll counter offer you. Okay. You're working on great projects. You can only grow from here. And I was like, I'm going to join a company called PIF. And he was like, just go. Go. Because we have got some RFPs and there's some interesting projects out there. Okay. And I think with someone with your ambition and drive, you would be amazing at working for them. Whatever you do, whether it's PM, design management, PMO, whatever it is they want you to do, go do it, learn. Okay. You're going to be part of this corporate machine. It's going to be the biggest development company in the world. Go work for them. You just don't know what you're missing out on. And I went there, and obviously the laws and everything were from the past. Saudi has completely changed. I went through the whole transition as the country grew. Yes. I have amazing Saudi friends, the most hospitable people in the world.
That's nice.
And being part of that project was, honestly, when people look at PIF or Red Sea on my CV, the conversation just changes. Because of the clout, the brand, the vision, what they've done, what they're still doing. It's honestly amazing. And I think testament to what they've done is a reflection on being part of that as well. So true. People judge you differently on the brands that you've worked with, particularly in this region.
Yes. So if I were to start a business in this region, right? So you have got the experience of now your business is successful, and you have also had the experience of how some areas which failed before. Yeah. So what would you advise, if somebody's going to start? Is it better they wait and have their own probably at least 10 years worth of experience before they go into, or should if someone's really ambitious, can they just start a business? What is your advice on that?
A lot of people come to me and saying, hey, we look at your journey and we'd love to do the same. I'm like, great. What's your idea? Oh, I don't really know what my idea is. What do you think the good idea is? And I'm like, well, your experiences, my experiences are different. And I always like to create businesses based on my own adversities. So if there's something wrong, or if I think there's somewhere where I can outbeat my competitors, I'm going to drive that business. So you need to have an idea. And a lot of people say to me, I need to wait until I have 5 years experience, 10 years experience, 20 years experience. But waiting for what? By the time you think of the idea, someone has already done it. Yes. Or the market's changed, or there's no need for that product. You have a window of X amount of years to build, to scale, to sell, if that's what your journey looks like. And so you have to do it now, right? Okay. There's two elements. It's don't wait. If you've got the resources, you've got the capital, you've got your runway, you've got a good idea, go do it now. Now. Okay. If you're listening, go do it now. Okay. But make sure that you've got a plan. You know what to do. If you've got a family, what's the runway? You don't just resign and say, I'm going to go start my own business. That's dumb. Yes. But have a plan, know exactly what you want to do your research. I spent years and years and years researching, as you know, with graduate surveyors, 8 years of research before I started building. And even then I got it wrong. That was 8 years of me every single day after work trying to research on who my competitors were. Okay. CRM systems, application tracking systems, who are the recruiters out there, who are the local recruiters out there, which demographics are there, what's their turnover. I did a lot of research on that. Okay. The second element is failure. People don't want to start because they know they are fearing the failure. But the matter of fact is that you're going to fail. Yes. Your first business is going to fail. And anyone who hasn't failed in their first business, honestly, hats off to you. Yes. But you're going to fail. Yes. You need to spare 5 years of your life before you see success. If it's done in 3 or 4 years, honestly, congratulations. Nice. But you need to just take away 5 years of your life. Yes. The partying, the going out, the sacrifices, the weddings. I'm sure your wife is nagging you to get married, or your husband's nagging you to get married or to have a kid or whatever. Just sacrifice 5 years of your life. And if you can do everything concurrently, go do it. But the road ahead is going to be really difficult bumpy. One, but you do need to sacrifice the 5 years. Yes. So find the problem, find the idea. It could be something that's hopefully it's an adversity to you, so you can be passionate about what you're building or what you're solving or what you're creating. Be passionate. It could be baking. It could be something that's already out there, but do it better than anyone else. Yes. Right. And the second thing is if you're fear of failing, you're gonna fail. Yes. So you rather fail fast than not do it at all. But you need to be a certain type of character to really drive, because there's going to be many obstacles in your way, right? And if you keep on failing and keep on getting knocked down, if you can look up, you can get up.
Yes.
So this is some things that everyone needs to consider. And if it doesn't work, just go back to work.
Great. And when it comes to now, since you have 3 businesses, right? I'm sure you are a pro at delegating, because you can't run 3 without having a team, right? So as a founder, what's your advice on delegating? Who's the first person that you need to hire in your team when you're growing?
Yeah. Having good people around you is super, super important. Whether they're advisors, whether they're people you look up to, whether it's people that are going to support you, whether it's people who are giving you, ad hoc advice about certain things. Because to be honest, I'm not a recruiter. I have never done recruitment before. I have no idea about recruitment. I'm trailing on the internet most of the time trying to find the idea. But then again, I was like, well, I've got 30,000 people on my LinkedIn. Why don't I just reach out to recruiters and just get their advice? Whether they knew they were giving me advice because I was going to start a competitive firm, or I was asking my friends for advice to how to write a contract, I winged a lot of it at the beginning stages. And I am still winging some of it. But the matter of fact is that you're only as good as what you know. And sometimes if you don't know, you just have to take the risk. And that's what an entrepreneur does. So a lot of the beginning stages of what I did was absolutely winging it and failing, and then understand why I failed, and then adding a clause in, or changing my approach, or changing who I worked with, and then so on and so forth.
Learning on the go.
On the go. When it comes to people, again, I use Upwork, Fiverr. I was like, I want to just do it cheap, but then maximize on the revenue. And guys, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need to spend money in order to get some return on investment. And I'm not saying break the bank balance. I'm saying try to get some word of mouth recommendations from an entrepreneur or a founder or a business owner to say, I vouch for this person's work and they do it really, really good, and this is how much he charges or she charges, and work with them and then do it that way. Start small. Don't go, I'm going to revolutionize the marketing side and I'm going to take over the whole world. And I speak to founders like that. I'm going to take 20% of the market share in the UAE, and that equates to $400 billion. And I'm like, right, then you need to learn, my friend, but you're going to fail faster and it's going to hurt you even harder. But go find some good people. You can look online, look at Fiverr, Upwork, get some of their work, see their portfolio, see their testimonials, give them a piece of work, see how they work, and then take it on. If you're looking for a first employee and you're looking for someone a little bit more long term, then obviously go through their LinkedIn, try to get some recommendations from previous employers, talk to them, give them a trial, a paid internship, see if you get along with them. You need to get along with your employees in order for you to get the most out of them. If you love their work but you don't like them, there's going to be a problem. And the people I work with, I treat them with the utmost respect. And I have remote teams. I have people in Philippines, India, the UK, the US. Lolita, my co-founder for Wasta, is in the UK, but she's sometimes in Saudi. So we live in this world where you can have remote teams. I think COVID has taught us that.
I think that it's after that we really really started exploring that more, right?
You need to, in terms of finding the people, is use the various networks that are out there in the market. True. And try to get along with that person and build a rapport. The beginning stages are always difficult, but once you start building that, then you can start asking them, do you know anyone? Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone? And using those networks to find people. Once you have 3 or 4 different people, you'll have a good spectrum of what good looks like, what your culture looks like. And then hopefully your employees will bring other employees and they will bring other employees. And this is what's happening with WorkPanda and Wasta. My employees, my colleagues are bringing their friends from their companies, from that company, from that company, from that company. They're like, hey, we loved working with this person. Can they work for you? Or with me, not for, with me. And
that's how you find the
and that's how it's all resonating. And I think that's how we built the initial employee culture for all of my businesses now.
Nice. And you also mentioned about co-founder. So that's something. How does a partnership work in a business? Like, when there's more than one person in a business, right? Some, like, you're 2 individuals, you might have some areas which you agree upon, which some area you might not agree upon, right? How do you overcome such situations when you have co-founders?
I'm not married, but people say co-founder, founder relationship is like marriage. There's a give take, you know. One day you might want this, one day they may want that. But, if you have a common goal, built on trust, because trust is super important in business. I know so many people saying, oh my God, she ran away with that. He ran away with that. He did this, he did that. He gave equity away. He changed the cap table. He took a client out and spent all of our business, savings and so on and so forth. So, trust, genuinely getting along with someone that you can work with, and having, yin yang skill sets is definitely something that I looked for. Fortunately enough for me, I think the stars aligned and we found each other. Lilita being a friend and then obviously a business partner adds tremendous value to my businesses, both Wasta and WorkPanda. Because she's the tech nerd, if I can call her that. She's the brainchild of the technology aspect. I'm the brainchild of connections. So when you bring her and me together,
then that's a power team.
This is a power team. And she's like, slow down. And I'm like, let's fail. And when you bring that together and we discuss certain things, it just
balances
works.
Out.
Fortunately enough for me, having her and other business partners around that I work with across the region, UAE and Saudi Arabia, we have that common goal. And we genuinely like each other as human beings. And when you have that relationship, because that's all I'm about, relationships, it works well.
That's amazing.
Underpinned by trust. So if you're looking for a co-founder, listen, if any advice I had to give you, the person you're looking for is a lot closer than you think. And if you think about this and you think about what you're trying to build, have you asked your brother? Have you asked your sister? Have you asked your best friend? Most of your siblings and your close network don't even know what you do for a living. Trust me. If you look at your friendship circle right now, for those people who are listening, you don't even know what your friends do. You think you do, but you don't even know what they do.
Depth, right?
So when you start asking the right questions, be sure you'll get the right response. Because I started doing that. It's like, hey, what do you do? What does your brother do? Oh, he works for Amazon. Oh, Amazon. I'm trying to get through Amazon. Okay. But if I didn't ask that question, do you think my friend would come up to me and be like, oh, you're looking for this guy? No. So I go to everyone, and if I'm looking for someone or something, I will find out pretty much instantly. And so in Fit Out, for example, if you're a business developer, people are like, Shyam, how did you find that client? How did you find out that they were doing a fit out? How did you know there's a new restaurant coming? How did you know there's a new beach club coming in the Palm? I'm like, well, I built the right network, but also I asked the right questions. Like, hey, you've been in the office for 10 years. Like, when are you moving? Oh, we're actually floating a tender. Boom.
Nice. So I think it's not just having the network, it's also about bringing the right conversations with the right people on, right?
Honestly, my network is, you have my startup founders, serial entrepreneurs, and that's my Wasta community. Then you have my core construction, fit out, developers, consultants. That's my WorkPanda. And then there's another network, which is my friendship circle. Then you have another network, which is my family. Then there's another network, which is my school friends from 20 years ago. So you have different bubbles, different segments. And so, I couldn't bring my startup founders to my construction guys because they're chalk and cheese. The construction guys would be like, hey, the prices of metal have gone up. And these guys like, oh, ChatGPT. And these guys like, we don't know what that is. And these guys would like, so you can't bring these two people together. But I've created these mental spheres. But you are the
master connector of between everything together,
so,
right?
But I do know connections. So when these guys are saying, listen, we've just created a startup. We got invested 300 million. We're looking for a new office. Oh, Fit Out. Do you understand? And then they might be like, oh, hey, look, we're trying to create a technological shift in cost estimation and tendering, whatever. I'm like, all right, tech guys, come in.
You have the right person.
Bring people together who would never in reality come together. And Wasta, if people know this or not, if I've told you, is a replica of my head on an app. So everyone gets a piece of me in a product. In the
form of an app.
Because I don't have time to connect people and saying, hey, meet X, Y. It's like, if I can drive a technology solution in a product that's based on me as a human being in an app through data with all my friends, my colleagues, my acquaintances, my LinkedIn connections, everyone on there, and I charge them $10 a month and I've got 30,000 followers on LinkedIn and I can cash generate that. Surprise.
That's nice. So I think now coming to wind up the whole session, what's your one advice that you would give to a founder who's he's just looking out to start a business? What would be your main advice to them?
There is so much advice that I could give someone, but I have to say failing, because that's what drives me as an entrepreneur. Failing is honestly the hardest pill to swallow, the most difficult part, but go do something. Learn from what you've done, how you've done it, self-evaluate, get other people to evaluate what you've done, whether they are a friend, whether they're someone you're working with, whether it's an acquaintance, mentor, advisor. go do something, but fail.
Yes.
Get it wrong. It's okay to get it wrong.
To fail.
It's okay to not get it right the first time. It's okay not to get the second time, the third time. But once you start learning from the adversities and you genuinely learn from that, things become a lot easier. And it's like a Rubik's Cube, right? Since I've known, like 16, the businesses that I ran at university and not getting that right and getting into trouble and loads of stuff, non-competes with my employers and all kind of stuff, writing wrong messages to LinkedIn people blocking me, all that kind of stuff. These are all lessons that I've taken from failure. But now I've got the Rubik's Cube aligned with every single color. Okay, not every single color, I'm there, but I've got the antidote now that I can go and start another business and pretty much get it right.
Nice.
But the first and second businesses were all the failures. But learning how all of this works, I can create 7 or 8, 9, 10 different businesses and run them. And I think on personal reflection, they will get somewhere because I know how to market. I know how to spend my money.
You have learned how to structure the whole business together.
And that's the most important part. It's not the money. It's not building the team. It's not that. It's the failure. It's the failure and the emotion of failing, which no one wants to feel. No one wants to feel rejected. No one wants to feel the failure. But if you can understand that and not numb the feeling, but understand that you never want to feel that way ever in your life, will drive you so much, like it drives me, that you will get somewhere. You will get somewhere. Maybe not now, but maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I said 5 years. In 5 years, if you keep on failing for 5 years, you will be like Rocky Balboa. You will be like Terminator. You will go and you will smash it. But are you willing to give up 5 years?
Thank you. Amazing. I think that is the best valuable advice that we can give everyone, because everyone do not start because they're scared to fail.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much, Shyam, for being on the show. And to all our listeners, we'll be leaving in the show notes all the links related to Shyam's business. Feel free to follow him and do not forget to subscribe and listen to more episodes coming soon. Thank you.
Perfect. That was amazing. Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.